The federal government intends to put national security at the centre of this upcoming election campaign. In the budget, it pledged almost $10 billion to the nation's powerful and highly secretive electronic intelligence agency, the Australian Signals Directorate, to help the nation compete in cyber warfare over the next decade and beyond. It's the largest single investment in the 75-year history of ASD, which is also the focus of a new exhibition at the National Museum here in Canberra. I sat down in a rare interview with the Director General of the Australian Signals Directorate, Rachel Noble, to discuss the exploits and achievements of ASD from its origins in the Second World War to the cyber challenges of today. Director General of the Australian Signals Directorate, Rachel Noble, thanks for your time. So why have you set up this exhibition? For a very private organisation, Decoded takes you down a different path.
Well, thanks, Kieran. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's actually delightful for us that you've taken an interest in the exhibition here at the National Museum. Yes, you're right. 75 years it is for ASD. Our birthday was last Friday on April Fool's Day, but there it is. Australia's oldest intelligence agency. And
it began basically out of the Second World War.
Yeah, definitely. So we were born of war, essentially. So there were our allies operating here with Australians in Brisbane during the Second World War, collecting enemy signals, if you will, mainly focused on Japan actually, and our region here in the Pacific. And after the Second World War, there was some debate about whether Australia should have its own signals intelligence organisation, and it did take a few years, and the government took the decision in 1946, and then the organisation stood up in its earliest form in Melbourne at Albert Park Barracks in 1947.
So tell us what's on exhibition here, because obviously you can't go too much into the modern capability, but this is really looking back at where you've come from and the technologies that have been used.
That's right. So the exhibit actually takes you through the 75 years of our history. So you walk through a timeline. So it starts with one of the few Enigma machines on display in the world. We understand that there may only be several hundred left. And when I joined ASD many years ago now, that Enigma machine was just sitting on the windowsill of one of my bosses. So these artefacts have been in various places in ASD over its history. So we start out with the Enigma, we tell the story of the Second World War, we move through the years, Malaya, Burma, into our contribution in Vietnam, and then of course to more modern day operations I suppose we've been involved in. Here in the corner of the museum is the Australian coat of arms that is now in pieces following the bombings in Indonesia in 2004, and really marking the era of ASD's involvement in countering terrorism. Taking us through, we take you through some of our collection sites. We've got a piece of the beautiful white radome that sits around some of our satellite dishes in Geraldton in Western Australia. And through to 1986, where we show you Australia's first supercomputer, which is pretty cool. That computer was state-of-the-art in its time, and today your iPhone has 1,000 times more the computing capacity than that supercomputer, so it's mind-blowing to think of, as well as taking us to a much more modern era of ASD's responsibilities today, and that is for cyber security. And we've got a really cool interactive game for teams to play on and try and beat cyber criminals who are trying to hack into your network. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, it shows you the evolution of the technology that the ASD or DSD as it used to be known has used. How do the skills change? Like, who are you looking for today to come and be a cyber security expert to spy on others internationally, those that want to do us harm?
Yeah, do you know, I don't know that it's the people that we're looking for are all that different to the people that we were looking for 20 or 30 years ago, in that We will and do put a lot of investment in training people into how to do our business. It's not like you can go and get a university degree in signals intelligence, but you know, universities will teach you lots of basics, including cybersecurity and so forth. So of course we're really interested in people who have already got credentials in that. But most importantly, signals intelligence and cybersecurity is a team sport, and we need all sorts of people. And what we're really looking for are attributes, and this is something that ASD has always put at the top of its selection list, if you like. People who are highly intelligent, who are innovative, creative, who can think outside the box. And some of the magic that's happened over the 75 years that you see here in this exhibition has been the people of ASD really using technology in a way that it was never invented for.
Your guiding mantra, reveal their secrets, protect our own. You'd obviously need to have patriotic people as well who sign up.
Right, and I think that's really what might differentiate us from you know, other employers. If you are really motivated about doing something every day that really helps to keep Australia safe, and you know, that floats your boat, and you're motivated by that and engaged by that mission, then you know, you're really going to have a fulfilling career in ASD.
You've got a big challenge ahead of you, because as the budget announced, and ASD, the Signals Directorate, is being funded to the tune of, I think it's nearly $10 billion over the next decade to double in size. How do you go about getting the right people, 1,900 additional experts that you need to employ over coming years?
Yeah, so yep, that's right, that's Project Red Spice, and we will be doubling the size of the Australian Signals Directorate over the next 5 to 10 years. But you know, as I said before, doing our mission is a team sport, so really we need people who speak other languages. Sure, cyber experts have ICT or tech skills, engineers, data scientists, but also psychologists, people who are interested in understanding how other people work and think. And if you kind of go back to some of the early World War II successes in code breaking, there was a lot of thinking about how soldiers might communicate with each other, and I'm sure everyone's seen the movie The Imitation Game. A big leg up that the British had was that the German soldiers would always start their messages to each other with a mention of Hitler, for example, right? So you need people who also understand psychology of the people who are the targets of our intelligence gathering.
Is the cyber threat the biggest national security threat facing our country today?
I don't know about the biggest. I think we face a range of threats, and you know, that's what makes it so difficult and complex. But unfortunately, cyber criminals in particular can touch individual Australians in a way that can be really devastating for them personally, people who have lost their identities, or small businesses who lose, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, which can be, you know, something that makes or breaks the future of their business. The good news is actually that we can, all of us Australians, do fairly simple things to defend ourselves from cyber threats, like having really strong passphrases, backing up your data. When you're on your iPad at night and it says, you know, update now, please don't say, I'll do it later. You know, do it then, patch your systems, keep your software up to date. Our view is that if people do those simple things, then frankly, they're protected from the vast majority of bad guys that are out there.
And is ASD largely, or is your total goal to protect federal government interests, or is it broader than that?
So it's much broader than that. When we first started out post-World War II, we were responsible back then for protecting the communications of the government and the military. We still have that responsibility today, of course, and we put a lot of our effort and energy into that. But now we also have the responsibility to assist all Australians if they face a cyber security threat. And any Aussie can call 1300 Cyber 1, or get help from us through our website at cyber.gov.au if they're facing a cybersecurity threat and unsure what to do.